Greetings, greetings to all who are now joining. This is Dr. Matthews-Bey on the Dr. Matthews-Bey Unfiltered. Welcome you all to this Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram live feed. Every time, and before I do that, I must say Islam to you, my Moorish brothers and sisters, and greetings to you, my Aboriginal brothers and sisters. Every time I come on this live, it is to give notice to the de facto administrations around the world, all corporations, every one of them. I decided to do this short live this evening because I wanted to basically get to persons who would or may have a difficult time comprehending. One of them is that I must indicate is that I'm not a politician. I want you to comprehend me properly. To those who know that I'm running for, or I have, how should I put it over so you can comprehend exactly where I'm coming from. Mm, okay, most of you know that I have decided to be part of the local government elections as a representative. You call it a proportional representative candidate. And I want you to comprehend what it means to represent the people. It's different from a politician. Being a politician is different from being a representative. A politician is a corporate status that says to you, hey, look, I want to be a bloodsucker for you. Because that's what it means. If you check the etymology of the word, the etymology of the word politician, poly means more, tick means bloodsuckers. That's what it means. Politics, politician. I'm not saying that all politicians are bloodsuckers, but that's the misnomer of the name. That's the use of the name. That's what the name is created for. That is the etymology. That is the etymology of the word politic or politician. So I want you to comprehend where I'm coming from. To those who may comprehend, um, to how should I put it over? To comprehend where I'm coming from, really, is to help you to get a vision and a view of what I stand for. My stance is to be a representative, a representative of the people, because that's how we governed in the days of, you may call the Moabite, the Moorish Empire, the Ottoman Empire, however your history takes you, or your comprehension of the story takes you, the investigation. That's how we ruled, as a matter of fact, before the US got their treaty of 1777 and they started doing their business in 1778. The comprehension is that this is how the government of the day works, by a way of treaty, peace, friendship. And in other words, to do that, you must have an electoral system. The reason why that electoral system existed in those days is because You need to know your status before you would have gained that electoral position. What is your status? High frequency, not low frequency, high frequency. So those who are 14th Amendment citizens are low frequency. Those who are 13th Amendment citizens are high frequency. Your energies are high frequency. And most of the people who are deemed high frequency is people who would have comprehended the system and would have known the original responsibility of being the person who has the status of high frequency. And when I say high frequency, if you realize in most of my shows, I would say, please address me as either Noble or Doctor. Well, mostly it's Noble Matthews-Bey, but on the show, I will say Doctor. But my degrees supersede that doctorate because I'm 360 degrees, complete circle. And number 7 stands for that, a complete circle. To those who may comprehend where I'm coming from, it's a high frequency. When I stand out there, I portray that high frequency because I don't take myself lower. I don't want to be in that lower frequency. When you're low frequency, you have a status. You accept your status and you become a misnomer. You become a straw man. I had a conversation with an individual a couple of days ago, and I was talking about being a human being. And I said that's why in the US, and I was referring to the Constitution of the United States. I said that's why in the US Constitution it says that those who are considered black are 2/3 of a human being. Because although that human being, which is a low frequency, accepts the human, accepts to be called human race or human being, tells themselves they are the higher level of human being. The blacks who are beneath them are 2/3 of a human being. Or the Swati, the blacks, the Swati, the Indians, the colored, the Negroes, the Spanish, all of these people who live under the 14th Amendment citizenship are 2/3% of a human being. If you comprehend what I'm saying, because in other words, you live by your system, you eat their foods that they present to you, that they produce for you. Because they're trying to tell you your food security is not good for you. What they have for you is good for you. And they call it refined product. Check the definition of refinement. They want to refine you, to take away the substance that is good and give you the leftovers. That is refinement. That's who you are to them. Because they feed you their food, which is refined, which is not going to do anything good for you. They give you their medication, which is refined, because they test and they give you trials, DNA, to see how best they can change your apparatus. That's 2. The life that you live, it's a refinement. In other words, you're trying to tell them you don't know how to live your life. And in that process, which is number 4, you give up your rights by accepting to be called a citizen of that country, of that corporation. That is why you now become a 2/3 of a human being, because you live by their laws, you live by their culture, you live their religion. Everything for you is a contract to keep a con on track. It's a contract, and you don't even know when you sign it. Everything you sign in a piece of paper, it doesn't matter what, they make you have to put your name on it, that misnomer. It's a contract to hold you liable to it. And that's a con who's holding you liable to conmanship. That is why when you go before the courts want, and they call it the legal processions, the courts want a conversation with you. That's why when the police arrest you, they say, hey, look, don't say anything in the presence of me. Say it in court. Because anything you say can and will be used against you in the courts of law. It's to keep you in that conmanship, that area of conning you in check. That's why when you go before the courts are illegal because they don't, they can't preside over you unless you give up that right by having a conversation with them. And while they're having that conversation with them, you don't know what they're saying. Suddenly you become guilty because why? They use this term, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So you'll be tricked constantly. Every single day of your life, you'll be tricked. And you think that look, you're doing the right thing. I can tell you that. You'll be tricked. You go to work, you do your job, you work your job, work. Yes, it's an adjective, but it's a verb, sorry. It means action being given. Job. It's a Hebrew word for oppression. So you go to work every day. That's your active duty to be oppressed. And when you finish at the end of the week, you receive your salary, your start to bathe with. That's why you're always weak at the end of the week. At the end of when you always been weak, being oppressed is to be weak. So you can receive your salary, salt. So they put in the provisions of the place salt, they put the word money, which doesn't make any sense. It is what you call fiat currency. Now I want you to comprehend this. And clearly, me advising you to go and vote in a local government election, it's the correct way. But the problem is, after voting, it is holding your elected representatives accountable for the position in which you elevated them to. That is the position. You sat down and you realize, oh, this person got a higher frequency than me. Well, I better put him in the position to represent me because he's going to bring me out of that position of lower frequency. That is their position. It is to bring you out of that lower frequency so you can now thrive. That is why you have elected them to the position. So they can use their higher frequency to bring you out of that lower frequency. It is to be the representative, your representative. That's the position, that's the law. But the politicking way, it is to keep you on track of the conmanship. You never heard, well, how did it talk about it? Oh, political correctness, to use the word. Well, not because I tell you I'm going to give you $1 million when I get into power, that means you're going to get it. No, you're not going to get, because the politicking way is to make sure I create a line of subversion so I can bring you to that line of subversion. But I'm not going to tell you what that line of subversion. That is why I normally say I am not a politician. Don't get me mixed up. I am a representative. It is time we use the position in which we are elected to. That is why I use the word new and progressive leadership. You have to, you have to create avenues to meet the needs and the will of the people. You have to be held accountable. When you're a politician, you can't sleep because you know why? You have a higher frequency. Sorry, when you are a representative, my apology, you have a higher frequency. There are some politicians got higher frequency too, but because of the political arena, they can't use it. They can't go about using that higher frequency. That's a fact. That's why they some of them are always saying things behind closed doors that they might not approve of this or they might not approve of that because those are the persons with a higher frequency. But because of strangulation of the political field in which they are, they cannot exercise that higher frequency. But that doesn't mean that I am going to be blocked from exercising that higher frequency. So don't get it twisted, people. Some people see that, oh, Dr. Matthews, is oh yes, I'm back on. The internet is giving me a fluctuation. So please, oh yes, I'm back. Okay, so please do excuse me there. I know I have a bit of an internet problem, but I'm back on. The the information that I'm trying to help you to comprehend is that the frequency is what I represent, the higher frequency. That's why I refuse to be called black, Negro, African, colored, indigo, Swarty, Indian, Amerindian. All of these identifications are a misnomer. It's a it's what you call it's what you call status. You've been given that status to say, well, look, you are the property of the state. And being that property, you have to have a status. And in that status. You can be fooled at any time. You can be led or be lured into being convicting you of your ignorance. You're being led into the hands of convicts. I'm going to show you a simple example. Mr. Jack Dio, who is supposed to be some vice president of the Corporation of Guyana, you know that he have done things and was never be held accountable for those things. But when you do the same things that he have done, you're now being tried in courts of law. You get my point? That is politicking. It is to tell you plain that I can be a legalized criminal, but you can't be a criminal like me. You are not a legalized criminal, so you're going to go to jail. That's the fact. That's how straight up I can be. He have done things as a politician, things that are unconstitutional, that are against the law, and he cannot be held accountable for them because he's a legalized criminal. But let you do the same thing. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you a simple example. And I normally share this example when I'm doing the walkabout. Anybody wants to get into conversation with me or into that, sorry, anybody wants to relate to me their feelings and sit down and speak to me, I will normally have this thing. I will say, if somebody comes into your house, where you and your family are residing, hold you at gunpoint, they might rape your wife and your children in the process. They take away $10 million from you. That's your worth, your assets that you have in your home that they can sell or maybe cash. And they leave your premises. You're going to do what? You're going to call the police, right? And you're going to make sure that the police will be working hard to capture those criminals, to prosecute them for what they have done to you and correct them. And you're going to make sure that even if you got to take the law into your own hands to make sure that they pay for the crime, you're going to make sure that you're going to do that. Now, fast forward. Barack Jagdeo was president between 2000 and 2010. 1,480 Guyanese of the Corporation of Guyana were either murdered or disappeared. Can't find them. Majority of them are those that are considered Afro-Guyanese or black. Majority of them. That's one instance, and he's never been held accountable for that. There was the Lusitnan massacre, there was the Bartica massacre, there were the Lindo Creek murders, there were the murders in Linden of the protesters, there was Saturday Saw murder. Efron Ali was Minister of Housing and Tourism when the same person was fingered in the murder of JFK, where he came blatantly on television and said he shot MFK, sorry. The man who was MFK trading, he shot at him but he didn't die. And he kind of went back to finish the job, but somebody finished the job. And they severed his head off. Remember, MFK head was found. And what happened to that? That same person worked in the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. whether he was on contract or not, he worked there. Yes, two colors used to call, he worked there, right there. And what happened? Those men are not being held accountable. And starting at this particular point, look at what's his name? Crummy Ring, lived in Diamond. He was shot dead for speaking out against the de facto regime of convicts, and he was killed. Now the chat tree name is being and fingers are being pointed to the chat tree, being called in the death in the murder of this young man because he spoke out against it and the Ministry of Legal Affairs. Was he held accountable? No. Fast forward to today. Last year, a budget of $700 billion was passed. It's your money. I'm talking about not the government's money. It's your money that you got to work and pay it back. $700 billion was passed. What you get from it? Nothing. What did they repay you with? Nothing. It is your money. You're entitled to have it back. Via contracts, via work that have been done, you're entitled to benefit and inherit from it. You haven't got nothing. You got some now and then $50,000, now and then $25,000, now and then $150,000, and now and then. Now, a budget of 700, nearly 800 billion dollars was passed. What you get from it? Nothing. You're gonna make a report. Imagine the man coming to your house, rape your family, carry $10 million worth, you're making sure you go to the police station to make a report, to make sure that that person is apprehended and captured. You got this particular administration now come into play, who's doing worse than the man who went and raped your family and take away your $10 million worth in assets. They're not only raping your family, they're sodomizing you. That's what they're doing because your friends, family, your brothers and your sisters ended up dead. And when they're done sodomizing, they take $700+ billion from you and try to tell you that they can't and they won't give accountability for it because the PAC, which is the Public Accounts Committee, must not be governed by your elected representative. They must not be governed by your elected representative. Are you serious? Wait, hold on. Are you serious? These people not only raping you, they're sodomizing you, friend. They're turning your children into, what you call it, daytime prostitutes, especially your children and your boy children into thugs, thieves, pedal pushers in drugs and narcotics, and they're turning them into murderers. There's full sodomy. They're making sure that they're creating what you call an economic castration on you while stealing your money in front of your face. $700+ billion. Blatantly. And then you're going to sit down and tell me, we're going to do about it. So what are you going to do when the little boys turn up to protect your money? You're going to do something about it. When them little boys turn up and say, yo, give me a thing. Because they're taking the petty things. They're taking a couple $1,000 in your wallet to go and buy some food or go and buy some money or to go and do this and to go and do that. They're taking they what they're doing, they're petty criminals, and you making sure that they pay the penalty fee to them by this in the PPP, taking hundreds of billions of dollars from you, your own benefit. They're taking away your life, your inalienable rights, and you going to the police station and make a complaint, or you ain't decided to say to yourself, well, here, civil disobedience should be my course. You're not even telling yourself that. That is why I decided to get up and say enough is enough. I ain't gonna go down the line no more. I'm tired. Enough is enough. I'm not going to be there to highlight the problem. I'm not going to be there to give a solution to the problem. And that solution is to become an elected representative of the people, by the people, and for the new and progressive leadership shall be our example. That is why I decided to join with the APN. When some people can call me PNC, I don't care. Well, it can make it clear and straight. That is why I decided to go with the PN, the People's National Congress Reform, and say to you, I prefer to be your representative. I want to be the pinnacle of change. It's better I set the table of change than sit down and begging people to set it for me. It is time I stand up and decide to be a solution to get rid of the problem. What is the problem? The cancer of PPP, or the People's Progressive Terrorist Party. It's a cancer. This ain't no political gimmick. Those who know me got time for political gimmicks. They have time for someone to argue with people's stupidness. This is a higher frequency. You either shape up or get out. That's what needs to be done. So me not ask nobody to do it. I decided to stand up, go out there and do it. You want to make a difference? Now it's time to make that difference. Now it's time to make that difference. Don't get it twisted. Now it's time to make that difference. You want to make that difference? Now it's time. Don't beg nobody to make a difference for you. Get up and make it yourself. You have elected representatives, or you have representatives that wants to be elected. Noble Matthews-Bey, or Noble Gavin Matthews-Bey, is one of those persons. You want your cause to be highlighted. You need to be granted the kind of freedom that you have or you want. You need to be given the kind of leadership that you desire in people by voting APNU. Yes, I'm back. So we got it. I don't know what the FC is doing, but I know if you do not compete at this present time, they're going to put what you call interim management committees in place of those areas where the local government stand, and they're going to say that they have all rights and authority, and they're going to quote the Constitution, which they are tenants of. It's time you wake up. I don't care. They may call it a woke theory. They may call it a, uh, a racist theory, but it's time you wake up and realize that the People's Progressive Terrorist Party is a racist, bigoted, terrorist, East Indian utopia regime. That is what and who they are. Whether you like it or not, me, England, I tell you straight up, I ain't gonna pretend and go in a corner and say, uh, we got East Indian brothers and sisters that may be offended with the word East Indian utopia, but that's the fact. That's the fact. We are always the people who is going to forgive and forget that they took 10 years killing us out. They did worse than Jim Jones. Jim Jones barely fall under the thousand line. They are responsible for more than 1,400 deaths and disappearance in Guyana within 10-year period. And it was an East Indian utopia government then, and it still is now, where they're doing worse than that because they're making sure that we are being economically castrated. That's the fact. And our your East Indian brothers and sisters who are seeing it knows that's the fact. And those are the ones who are rebelling against them. And because you rebel against them, they're like a whole, that's how they look at it. Because, you're East Indian like me, you're supposed to talk against me. The fact is that it is an East Indian utopia of a government. Those that looks like me that are in that particular administration can't speak, so they become slaves. It's only a slave can't talk. I mean, they're already slaves. But when you see they can't talk, they're worse than slaves. They're cattle slavery. A bind is over their mouth and a guide is at the side of their face. Like how they've got them horses and a horse cart, horse drawn cart. They put a guide at the side so they can't look right nor left, they look straight ahead. Those are the kind of cattle slaves they are because they can't see the discrimination, they can't see the racism. They must see the one Guyana East Indian utopia. You know, I just start me story play. Civil disobedience. Because I ain't accepting that nonsense. I am not. I know some of you ain't like what I said, but I don't care. Because it's my people who are suffering, my Aboriginal, indigenous people. So it's time that I share that higher frequency with them because they have rights more than anybody in this country, in the corporation of Guyana. They have rights. You got five ethnic groups who came to this continent and meet you and trying to tell you that you don't have any rights on this continent. Well, I'm sorry. I am pretty much solid. Yes, you can exist. I don't have a problem. But then you got to know your place of existence. You can exist. You can be whoever you want. You can be an uppity Negro. You can be this, that, the other, Sarah. You can be that. But do not interfere with my allodial right. Do not interfere with my people. Don't think I'm going to stand by and sit down and just watch you disintegrate them. That ain't gonna happen. I sorry. I mean, I don't wear this sorry, but I'm sorry. It ain't gonna happen. Not under my watch. Not under my watch. For people who are looking, it is not going to happen under my watch. I'm here to edify you. I am here to liberate you. I'm here to rise you up. And the edification process is not education. I don't want you to go the way in which I say you must go. I'm rising you above that. I'm giving you food to eat so you can become interdependent. You must have what you call your own power. So when you talk, by God, listen. That is my position. So don't think I am doing this thing because I want to be a politician. No. Your brightest must smile. You see, the brightest thing for me face is my teeth. Yeah, because I want to edify. I want to make sure that you arise from the depths of death, of the corpse of corporation that you're under, that you can vilify your own self. You can proclaim your own self, your inalienable rights as an Aboriginal Indigenous person. You got your right. Guyana exists under a treaty, and that treaty was entered into in the year 1777. Whether they like it or not, it happened. Guyana exists under a treaty as a corporation, and they have to follow those treaties. It got to happen. That is why I am making sure that you must benefit from the corporation of course. All them dead people sit down running around the place talking about little poopsie. But father of the nation. Serious. You want to know who's the father of the nation? The Aboriginal people, the Bantus, the Moabites, the Moors. They're the father of the nation. Those are kings and queens. The females are the ancestral DNA lineage to the land, and the male are the rulers, the kings. You exist here based upon our strength of knowledge and comprehension. That is why we could have created a treaty so you can exist. Seriously, that is why the treaty was created so you can exist. You can now decide to say, well, look, I can evolve in my animal instinct. that I have, I can call myself a human being. That is why there are two types, three of them, sorry, and I like to call them out: the Homo sapiens, the Homo erectus, and the Anglo-Saxons. Yeah, of course. I'm different from you guys because I have a pineal gland and you don't. Of course. And that pineal gives me the right to access my ancestral lineage, what belongs to me. That pineal gland gives me autonomous authority over the multiverse. Well, to those who know what I'm talking about, can comprehend. Those who doesn't know, I comprehend if you can't comprehend. Because your frequency is low. You've been educated in the lower frequency. So those who receive education is a lower frequency. Those who be edified gains the higher frequency. So there's a difference in receiving and gaining. But don't let's come off the point. The point is that these animals that you got trying to tell you that you ain't got no rights to ancestral lineage. You ain't got no rights to have a say what goes on your land by a corporation of thieves, always violating the treaty. Every day you wake up, they're violating the treaty that binds them to the signature. Well, here, time for the past and gone. That time has stopped, my friend. That time has stopped. It's no more. I cannot tolerate. We gotta be serious. That time has stopped and gone. It is time that we hold you accountable to the treaty that you have signed. It is time you get to comprehend the trust that was created for all the first inhabitants of the land, the Aboriginal, by our prophet and noble Jew Ali. And because of that trust, all the corporations around the world can be bankrupt at any time. As a matter of fact, they are bankrupt because there's nothing behind their dollar. They can't claim the land because they know the land is not there. In order for them to clear the land, they have to erase the Aboriginal people of the land, and it's hard. It's hard. That's why they're doing mass genocide because they think they can, deplete the population of the Aboriginal people on the land. That's why they got wars. We always had war. We war in the food industry, in the medical industry, in the school industry. Every industry that they created is a war against the original people, or I may say Aboriginal people. There's always this tendency of war and war and war and war all the time. But it just can't work anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I was telling someone yesterday, he said, but how come, if the PDP lost the election, how come they're in power and how come Jack, you're still there? I said, you forgot what happened. You know they had a recount. And during the process of the recount, the American said, told Mr. Green to give up power. That was a threat. And it was handed to the PPP, which Jack Jones wants the head of. It's common sense. If you have a neutral person, you have a criminal, which you have enough evidence of, you can jail that criminal at any time. Who are you going to do business with? The neutral person or the criminal? You got to use them. And that criminal is being directed by the U.S. State Department. Why I think Sarah and Lynch is always involved in everything. Everything. Smallest pin in the drop. She's involved in that. She has to know you, and this is what she says to them, you are my prisoner. You put here to do certain things. You can't go beyond that. Anything that you do that affects us, we're going to make sure we make an example of it. So they're not going to do anything that affects the US State Department. They went into India the other day. They went to strike a deal with the Indian government. You know what the Indian government said to them? Why you make some deals with the corporation of the United States? Me getting involved in it. $36 billion were made after the oil, the Tobruk oil block. One oil block. Within 3 years, this de facto administration gave them less than $1 billion, US dollars. And running around the place, borrowing more money, talking a bunch of crap. Money to the borrowing, making sure that your children are going to pay for them, not them. They don't get rich. They don't get rich. It's like the 350 something million dollars was given to with the place what's the word? Staple Construction Company that Hitson Jam owned. I hear not like the school ain't finished yet, but one no. That money are down the drain. Somebody else is going to be awarded that contract. Gain away money. And then they can go up on the show every night. Oh, come and sing, call in and sing. 2 pieces of fried chicken, box of fries, and a 10-ounce drink. So we can keep the black man entertained. The one that ain't got sex. Keep he entertained. Come here, come and sing. And when we got party, y'all come out. Because they're $300 million richer. Let me tell you, my duty here is to inform you, is to wake you up, and to be your representative. Get involved in the decision making in your country and your constitution as corporate citizens. Get involved. Don't sit down and sleep. Don't sit down and say, Jack, you're going to do it for you. Yeah, you can't expect a criminal to do something for you. You cannot expect a criminal to do something for you. So get involved. I'm telling you, I'll get involved. Because I'm getting involved. And I want to be your representative, but I don't want you to let them sleep. I want you to wake up and be edified, because I'm going to constantly be upon you to wake up and get involved in the decision makings in your area. I come into your area I can talk to some of y'all, and I'm going to make sure that you equip yourself with the knowledge so that when I gone, because I ain't gonna live forever, you're going to be equivalent to the highest frequency ever on this continent, which is your home state that you call America. I ain't talking about the rest of them talking to you. I am Noble Gavin Matthews-Bey. I am presenting myself to be a proportional representative candidate for the local government election. It is time you get involved in the decision making in your constituency, in your community, and in the corporation you call GM. Please do remember the face so that when you get to your condition of comprehension on election day, which is supposed to be 12th of June, in each constituency, they have a constituency candidate, which you call a first past the post candidate. That's a permanent person. Their picture is going to be on that list with the party symbol next to it. And at the bottom of the ballot, they're going to be a party symbol alone. Those are for the PR candidates like me. So you have to vote two places. Please make sure you put the X in the box without touching the line. Get involved. It's a pleasure talking to you this evening. I want to say to you, stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, and wear a mask. Don't forget it once you take to public places. I am Dr. Matthews-Bey and the Dr. Matthews-Bey Unfiltered saying good evening and cheerio for now.